All right, welcome to today's class on DocuSign 101. My name is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today's class will be going through all the basics that you need to know about DocuSign, how to get into your DocuSign account, how to add forms to your DocuSign account, type those up and send those off to get electronically signed by your clients. We'll take a look at how to edit PDFs in DocuSign, and also, lastly, how to add forms to your opportunity in Command to send that to your office for compliance review. So that's the schedule we got going today. So first things first, let's go ahead and log into Command. Now, if you do not already, Command is a great thing to bookmark on your browser. So that is agent.kw.com is a URL for Command. And again, it's a great thing to go ahead and add to your browser. If you're wondering which browsers work best with Command, Keller Williams International has said that Google Chrome and Firefox are the best browsers to use with Command. A Chrome Incognito window above that is preferred. And if you are not sure on how to get into Chrome Incognito, you would do that by clicking on the three drop-down dots on the very top right of Chrome, of your Chrome browser. And you'll be able to pull up an incognito window there, okay? The reason that it's so great to use an incognito window in Google Chrome for Command is because KWRI is releasing updates to Command daily, weekly, monthly. Right? And if you use it in an incognito window, you'll always be getting the most up-to-date version of KW Command because incognito does not store cookies and cache. So if you don't have Google Chrome on your computer, you can literally download Google Chrome, and you can do that right away. So that is something I would recommend. And let's go ahead and log in. Now your login and password for Command will be the same as your MyKW login, same as your Kelly app. I'm trying to streamline all passwords because I don't know about you, but I have enough passwords to remember, so that's a great thing. And we can go ahead and click sign in. Just a reminder that the password does require a capital letter. If you're struggling with remembering that, you'll need a cap letter, lowercase letter, and a number. But of course, you can click our friend here, forgot password, to reset that right away if you have any trouble. And of course, if you have any trouble resetting your password, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com. We're more than happy to help reset that for you. Okay, so now that we are logged into KW Command, we just need to do one little piece of housekeeping work, and that is to make sure your DocuSign account is connected up to KW Command. So to do that, and to double check it, we'll go ahead and click on our name on the very top right of Command. And then let's go ahead and select Settings from that drop-down. So again, your name on the very top right of Command, and then Settings. And the Settings page has been doing this quite a bit, just taking you to a blank white page and not fully loading. If that happens to you, I've noticed that if I refresh my page a couple times, that it will make this display. Let's see if we can make that work. If you're not familiar with how to refresh your page, that is just by clicking the arrow in a circle on the top left of your browser, typically, kind of by the back button. Right, that refreshes your page. I just had to do that 4 times to get that to load, so keep trying. If it's not popping up, you can keep clicking the refresh to get that to pull up. It's the best workaround I've found right now. All right, so this will show you all the apps that are connected up to Command. Cool thing about Command is you can connect up external apps to Command to use different features, such as DocuSign. So your connected apps will be at the top. So again, apps that are currently connected to Command will be at the top of your list. So your list might be in a different order than mine, and that's totally fine. We do want to scroll down to find DocuSign, though. And you will want to make sure that it actually says disconnect account on the right-hand side, okay, meaning that it's already connected up, right? I see the status here is connected. If it says connect account on the right-hand side, go ahead and go through those steps, okay? Click on connect account. You can either sign in with your DocuSign account or create a new one right away. And if you have any trouble with that, here's a video on how to connect up DocuSign to Command. And of course, if you email support@scottleroymarketing.com, we'd be more than happy to set that up and connect it to Command for you. Just a heads up. But we would need DocuSign connected up to Command in order to utilize that. All right, so we have that checked off. If you have any questions on it, again, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com and they can help you with that. All right, so next thing that we need to do, right, and I'll be drawing some parallels with dot-loop if you had used dot-loop in the past, as it is a similar system, right? But unlike dot-loop, we do have to have the contact in our database first in order to create an opportunity in KW command, okay, and go into DocuSign from there. So let's go ahead and click on the contact section of the menu on the left-hand side. Okay, it looks like two little guys hanging out. And just some tips on this menu on the left-hand side. First of all, if you hover your mouse over any one of these icons, it will pop out this little black speech bubble, letting you know what that section does. Also, if you click on this KW logo on the very top left, it'll shoot out this menu and it'll tell you what each item does. So as you're starting to learn the navigation of command, great thing to do until you get the hang of that. Now we are in the contact section here, and we'll want to go ahead and click Add Contact on the top right to add a contact in first. Okay, and this will need to be done in this order every time that you go to create a DocuSign room, and I'll be expanding on that. But before we kick off this whole process, I just also want to share with you guys, I do have notes on all this, so if you after this class want to print out these notes, have it hanging on your desk, next time you need to use DocuSign, all right, this will walk you through that right away. All right, so those are the DocuSign notes. You can pull those open, and I'll pretty much be going through those notes during class today. So first things first, as it details on the list there on those notes, we need to go ahead and click Add Contact on the top right. And just a heads up, if you're watching this class recorded, I will hyperlink these notes on the bottom of the video description on YouTube, and also any other tip videos I send out during the class, so check there. All right, so it's always great to have a test contact in KW command so that you can practice on yourself before sending things to your clients. So if you want to go ahead and put in, your name, or Leah Test, like your first name and Test, or your spouse's name, John Smith, whatever you'd like it to be. I'm going to go ahead and put in a little Neville Longbottom for any Harry Potter fans. I'm going to go ahead and put in an email address as well. I would recommend putting in an email address that you have a personal email that's not connected to Command or DocuSign, again, so you can see what it looks like when your clients receive emails and so forth. So I'll go ahead and click Create. Again, we're just adding in a name, any name, you can be fun with it, and an email, maybe your personal email there, and click Create. Okay, and once you click Create on the very bottom of that, it will always take you up to the top of your database. And you can use the search bar at the top left here to search for your contact. Now, the search bar has been a little funky this week. So if you're having trouble pulling up your contact that you just added, kind of play around with it. Try searching by first name or last name or the email address. Okay, it's been a little bit on the fritz because KW is doing lots of updates to the system in preparation for family reunion coming up. Just a heads up on that. But let's go ahead and click on the contact name once you pull that up. Okay. So I just want to point out, before we go into the opportunities section on the left-hand side, I want to point out that you are also able to create an opportunity right from the contact record itself. Okay. This is not on the notes, I don't believe, so if you are taking notes, this might be a noteworthy moment here. So from the contact record, you can pull that open and select opportunities on the right-hand side. And you will see an option to click Create Opportunity right from here. Okay, and you'll also be able to, come back to the contact record in the future to see any opportunities listed right here as well. All right, so this is one way you can create an opportunity. But I'm actually going to show you guys from the opportunities section specifically. So if you can go ahead and now navigate on over to the handshake icon on the left-hand side menu. I think it's a very fitting icon, right? It looks like a handshake, like they're making a deal. Okay, and if you have not seen the opportunities section and you keep wondering why these people keep saying, oh, create an opportunity, like, what the heck is that, right? If that is what you are wondering, let me explain a little bit about what this opportunity section does. So this opportunity section is first and foremost how you'll get into DocuSign. Okay, it will also be how you will need to start the DocuSign process, okay? So every time that you create a new opportunity, you will then be able to go into DocuSign, and I'll show you that firsthand here. But it's also going to be your sales pipeline, okay? And I have a class on this separately, going over all of this here, so feel free to check that out. But it's going to be a very visual tool for you, so you'll be able to see, you know, how many contacts do you have in each stage of the pipeline, right? Are they in this cultivate phase, appointment, is an active, under contract, or a favorite, closed, okay? And there are action items in each phase here that will help you stay on track to move someone from the cultivate phase and turn them into an appointment, for example. So if you meet someone at the grocery store and they see your name tag and want to maybe list in the future, you could add them to this cultivate phase, and there will be a to-do list so you can check off things on what you need to do to move them into an actual appointment. Okay, so it is a very visual tool, very cool to use. Again, check out the class on opportunities for way more information on all of this. That was just a quick overview for you. And it'll make a lot more sense as we go through this and create a test opportunity. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's click Create Opportunity on the very top right here. We clicked on Create Opportunity on the very top right, and you'll see this pop-up display, and we'll need to fill in all the fields that have a red asterisk next to it. Okay, anytime you see this red asterisk, that means that it is a required field. All right, so starting from the top here, if you are in more than one market center, you can select which market center that goes under. Okay, that cannot be changed once you do that. So you'll select the market center. If you are a part of a team, you can go ahead and select your team name from here to make it so that your rainmaker can see the opportunity as well. Opportunity type here, so whether that's a listing, buyer, landlord, tenant, and depending on what you pick here, depends on which pipeline this opportunity will go on. The owner here, this is a little bit of a confusing field. This is not the owner of the transaction. It will always say your name. It's talking about the owner of the opportunity. Or if you are on a team, it will always say your rainmaker's name, and then you will be listed as the assignee. So just so you're not confused on that. Client, this is another thing you won't be able to change once you create the opportunity. All right, so this client will stay associated to the opportunity. Can't change that. But go ahead and type in the contact's name that we just added. Right, and again, this contact has to be added to the contact section of command first before you can add them here. Okay, and as I start typing in the name, you can see it drops down. I can select that right away. If there was a spouse in the transaction, I could go ahead in the co-seller section, do the same thing, start typing in the name, and as long as they're in the contact section, that'll pull up. Okay, now the rest of the fields are changeable moving forward, okay? So you can edit any of this information moving forward, so it's not set in stone. So first of all, opportunity name. If at all possible, typically offices would like this to be named the property address as well. So if they're searching to put earnest money in your opportunity, they can pull that up. So let's say I'll name this DocuSign Rocks Drive. And then I like to have my client's name in here as well. And that's a listing. So I'm going to leave all that, but totally up to you. Of course, if you're representing the buyer, you won't know the property address out the gate, and that's totally fine. You can change that later. So now again, we're just having to fill out these fields that have a red star next to it. So I'm going to come down to the next required field, put in my commission rate, whatever that might be, just say 3%. If that's not set yet, you can always just put 3% and change it in the future. All right, now we have opportunity phase and opportunity stage. Now these two right here correlate to the sales pipeline in our background here. So the first one here, you'll see it says cultivate. That correlates to the first stage in the opportunity pipeline. Okay, so where would you like this opportunity to display? Do you already have an appointment? Is this active? Or are you just starting to grow the relationship? Okay, whatever the case may be, I'll say that it's in the appointment stage. Actually, I want to do active. All right, and then opportunity stage from there, okay? So now when you actually go back and play around with this section and click on any of these opportunity phases, you'll see that there are kind of stages, so like subcategories within each opportunity phase here. So you can really select any of these. I have customized mine, so yours might be different. That's totally fine. And then you can click create. Again, guys, your opportunity can be moved at any time, so that's no big deal. So just go ahead and click Create. And that will take you into the property details here. Okay. So first of all, at the top, you can go ahead and select from listings. So if you click select from listings here, it'll do a couple things. It'll autofill some property data into the opportunity and autofill into DocuSign. Okay, and it'll also help when you go to submit an offer and do the commissions tab as well. All right, so if I click select from listings here, it'll default onto your listings, which generally that's a good thing. But in this case, I'm going to change this from just my listings to all listings, just so I can pull in an example for you guys. All right. So I'll click select to the right of any of these properties here. You can of course search for the property you're looking for up here as well. Once I find that, I'll click select, but of course generally you'll want to pull in your listing. So that should be pretty easy to find. So we have that listing associated, and now that the listing is here, I do see that the property details information did autofill. And just a heads up, you can edit any of this information here. Anytime you see this pencil icon in Command, that does mean you can edit things further. So now that I've connected up the listing, I'm going to come over to the document section. In this document section, this is where you'll be going to submit any forms for compliance review to your office. And I'll be showing you that firsthand after we go through DocuSign, so that'll be actually the last thing we do in class. But let's talk about how to get into DocuSign from here. So from the document section, you have to click on Start a Transaction on the very far right. And please pause there before clicking anything. I just want to forewarn you guys, so you might have two options here. If you have the options for DocuSign and .loop, that's totally fine. But whichever option you select here, it will make that opportunity go to either DocuSign or .loop moving forward. So if your office is transitioning to DocuSign, you'll want to make sure to select DocuSign so that this opportunity always links up with your DocuSign room. Okay, if that's unclear, let me know. But you'll click on Start a Transaction on the top right here. It'll either say Start a Transaction or Go to Transactions, depending on if you've started that or not. And then we'll select DocuSign for today's class. Okay. Now DocuSign is making us log in for the time being. It usually makes me log in once a day and then stays logged in. I believe KWRI is working on making it just go into DocuSign like it used to with .loop from my KW. But for right now, you'll need to know your DocuSign login and password, so make sure to jot that down. I know how I have a locked note on my phone to keep track of all my passwords. I know there's a million of them, so you will want to write that one down. You will need that and click Login. All right, and you can always click Forgot Password here as well. And click Login. And don't worry if you're still trying to figure out what this password is. I'll give you a second to catch up while I explain a little bit more about DocuSign in general. Okay. So now we are taken into our DocuSign room. Okay, and you'll see at the top here that it's that same name that we gave it in Command. I also see the listing address here. Okay. So this is our DocuSign room. So you've probably heard that term, and if you were like me, when I first started hearing about DocuSign, I kept wondering, what is a DocuSign room? They keep saying room. What are they talking about? Okay, so what that is, your DocuSign room will essentially do the same exact thing as your loops in .loop. So whereas you had a loop per property in .loop, you will have a DocuSign room per property that you sell in DocuSign. Okay, so same exact concept, just different term there. Okay, so let's take a lap around our DocuSign room here, starting in the details section. Okay, so I'm selecting details on the very far left. Excuse me. And this is always where you'll want to start when going into your DocuSign room for the first time. So this section here in the details section, it will autofill all this information onto any forms that you bring into your DocuSign room. As you scroll down, if you did select a listing with me, you will see some of the information did autofill over the contract amount, listing expiration date, right? Some information does pull over, including the listing agent's name and info, which in theory would be your info if it is your listing that you are selling. Okay. So why this is also so important, so let's go ahead and click edit on the top right so we can see this firsthand. So the very top right, I'm clicking the edit option, and again we see that pencil icon to let us know that always means edit. So a couple things on here. So first of all, at the top you can always change the DocuSign room name if you need to. You can scroll on down and you can put in the address information here. All right, and I would recommend, let's go ahead and do this. Let's just put in the address information just so you can see what it looks like when it autofills onto your forms. Okay, so again, any form that you bring into this DocuSign room will automatically autofill this information that you put into the detail section. So you can put as much information as you'd like to here, but what is imperative that you do, okay, is put in the seller contact information on the right-hand side, right, or your client contact information. So you want DocuSign to know that your contact is the seller or the buyer, okay, whatever the case may be, so that they can assign signature fields and initial fields to your contact so they can electronically sign it. So to do that, we'll want to go ahead in the seller one field. Let's go ahead and put in our first client and the email address. I have not seen that this pulls over from command quite yet, in case you're wondering that, but hopefully that will happen in the future because they have started autofilling things over here. So we have seller one here on the right hand side, and you can always pick from your contacts as well in DocuSign though. So if you have a contact previously in DocuSign, you can pull that up by clicking on this little add contact option there, so you don't have to retype that out. I'm just going to go ahead and add a seller 2 as well so you can see what it looks like when there are 2 sellers. Okay. All right, you'll want to scroll down and make sure your info is correct too for the listing agent. I'm going to change this. This again, that information will pull if you select a listing from command in the opportunity like we did, but again, it actually has to be your listing to pull in your information. Alrighty. Okay, so those are the main things. So if you do nothing else in this details section, you just need to go ahead and make sure you have your client, seller 1 and seller 2 added in, and your name as well. Sorry, autofilled from my browser here. All right. And then we can go ahead and click Save on the very bottom right. Now, before we go across this line here, I just want to point out that there is a people section. And when I started using DocuSign, I thought it made sense to put people and my clients in the people section like I did in Dotloop. Okay, what you need to know about that, if you do add your clients in this people section here by clicking invite on the top right, it does send them an email. Okay, it'll email them saying something like, you know, your agents invited you to a DocuSign room. Click here to join. Which is all good and fine, except at this point in the process, I don't have any forms in my DocuSign room. Nothing is in here, right? So they'll come into a empty room, a DocuSign room, and that's a little confusing, I think, for the clients. So I would recommend instead adding my clients in the details section here on the right-hand side instead of the people section, so they aren't emailed when you add them. Just a tip, but you can do it either way. Okay, we also have the documents section, which is where we're going to come to next to get going. And this is where you'll do a vast majority of your work in this document section here. So let's go ahead and get going on the fun stuff here, adding in an interactive form to be signed by your clients. So I'm in the document section of my DocuSign room account. Okay. So make sure you're in DocuSign and not Command. I know that's a little confusing. Command has a document section, the opportunity, but we are in DocuSign in the document section. And we're going to click Add on the very top right of this document section. And let's go ahead and select the second option there, which is DocuSign Forms. Okay, these are your interactive forms that you can just start typing in. Okay, DocuSign Forms. you may see this pop up right away for your NERDS information. So if you do see your association from this list, you can absolutely select that and add in your NERDS ID to connect up your association forms right away to your DocuSign account. Now that might not work for everyone or might not even be necessary for a lot of accounts. First of all, you'll see, right, these are all the associations they have. There are definitely more associations than this in the United States, right? So there's not too many that they have available. So if your association is not available quite yet, no worries, DocuSign may be working on adding that in, okay? But this is only possible if you see your association here, and then you can link that up, all right? And just a heads up, your Market Center adds in forms for you as well. So you may not even need to do this. I'll show you the next step so you can see that. If you run into any issues connecting up your NERDS ID to DocuSign, I do have a little tip on that, on how to fix that. Okay. For now, though, I'm going to click skip. I don't need to do that for my account, so I'm going to click skip. And I have two options here. First of all, I have the first drop-down, which will be a library, and depending on what I select in this top drop-down, it'll change what I have in the second one. So if I leave it on library, it'll show me just kind of like I have folders of all of my forms together, or I personally find it easier to look through my DocuSign forms. Okay, so if you have, DocuSign form group. So if you have a group option there, I would recommend changing the first drop-down to the group option. And then it will change the second drop-down to the groups that your Market Center set up for you. Okay, so your Market Center sets up these groups and adds in the forms for you. If you do not have forms available yet, your Market Center is still working with DocuSign to get those all added. But of course, your groups will be different than mine. In this case, I'm going to select the listing group just so I can try to find an exclusive right to sell. I can use the search at the top here to search for the form I'm looking for. Once I find that form, I simply click on the dot on the left-hand side of the form name. And you can pick multiple at once as well if you need to pull in more than one. And then click Add. Okay, so I'll click Add on the very bottom once I selected my forms. And voila, it pulls in my forms right away. Now to start editing your form, all you need to do is simply click on the form to open that up to start editing it right away. So I'll click on that. It usually takes a couple seconds to load. And you'll see here that I have interactive forms or fields that I can literally just click in and start typing. Okay, so any of the fields here, simply click on to start typing. Any radio dots, okay, these circular checkboxes, circular dots here, you can simply click on to select that. All right, and you should see some information autofilling as well as you scroll down. So since I put in the address in the details section, I do see that information autofilling onto this form and every other form I bring into this DocuSign room specifically. But as far as filling out the form goes here, it's fairly easy. It's pretty intuitive. You simply just click to start typing. Right? Check any checkboxes, click any radio dots, and so forth. Okay. So in theory, you would need to go through and fill in this entire form first. Okay. Now this is a big noteworthy moment here. Once you go through and fill out the entire form first, it is very important that you click Save and Close before doing anything else. Okay. It's happened too many times where I filled out the form and I selected one of these actions and I lost all my work. All right, so I do want to point out that there are some document actions on the top right, including an option to DocuSign, which is the next step. Okay, that means to send it for electronic signatures. But please make sure that you click Save and Close first before selecting the DocuSign option, or you will lose all of your work. Okay, this is on the DocuSign notes I sent out, but I would like highlight it 9 times or something. All right, just make sure you save and close first so that you save all your work. And then we'll be able to DocuSign it from here. So as you saw, we can DocuSign it by clicking on the document actions right from the form itself, or if you need to get multiple forms signed at once, what you can do is you can click the dot. So see, if I hover my mouse over either of these form names, it gives me this little dot on the top left, which I can click on. Now, as soon as I click that dot, it gives me these bulk actions. So pay attention to my screen right here, right? There's nothing there, I know. But when I click on the dot on the form, it then pops up these bulk action items here. So I can do all the things on the document actions we were just looking at, but in bulk. Now, if you hover your mouse over each one of these icons here, again, it pops up letting you know what that icon does. And we are going to want to select the DocuSign option, which looks like a pen icon. All right, and what this means is we need to send that off for electronic signatures. Okay, that's what we're doing in this next step. So we clicked on the DocuSign option. And that will take you on over to your envelope. Okay, so what your envelope is, I like to think of this like good old snail mail. Literally, I have my forms, okay? I am shoving them in an envelope, and now I need to write who it's to, right? Put the recipients on there, right? So that's what we're doing here. So we stuffed those forms in an envelope. So then this next step, so the only thing we have to do on this page, and I'll go over this more in detail in just a moment here, but the only thing we have to do on this page is add recipients to the envelope. So right here where it says add recipients, I'm going to select pre-tagged roles. And you can also add people in right from here if you want to select email address, but I'm going to select pre-tagged roles so I can assign each client to the role. So first of all, seller 1, where that drop down is, I'm going to go ahead and select my first client. Seller 2 here, I'm going to select the second client. So where I have my listing agent field here, I want to go ahead and select myself from that list. Okay. So you'll want to assign your clients to each role here and click Add Selected. So click and Add Selected, and it will add our clients to this envelope, right? So from here, a couple things that are different than dotloop had is I can send these in a different order. So on the side here, it defaults on all ones. But let's say let's just pretend this is the mortgage provider. And let's say I don't want the mortgage provider to receive this until both my clients have signed this. What I could do is change this 1 to a 2. And what that would do is, again, once both my clients have received and signed the form, then, since it has a 2, it will send the form to the mortgage provider, okay? So you can send it in a certain order if you would like to. It does have that option there. On the right-hand side here, another thing that you have an option to do is add access authentication. So if you run into a client who does not feel very comfortable with electronic signatures, right, you'll run into that, they don't trust it. I get it, but you can add it and make it password protected to make them feel more secure about it. So if you come over to More and click Add Access Authentication, you can then go ahead and put in a password. Just a heads up, if you do create a password, you have to tell them the password. Okay? It will not tell it to them in any way. You have to be the one to tell them. Right? So you can make this password protected, which is pretty cool. And you have some options here similar to dotloop. You can have them be able to sign, or if you are sending this to a mortgage provider, they really only need to view it. So you can give them those options as well. Now let's talk about the other things you can do on this page. So in theory, especially if you are on a time crunch, which doesn't always feel the way in real estate, but you can then in theory just go ahead and click on next to go to the next page. So that's the only thing you have to do here is add in the recipients. But let's talk about other things we can do. First of all, envelope name here. So it defaults on this, which is fine. However, you're going to have quite a few envelopes as you go through your DocuSign transaction here. So I like to have the form names in here as well. Totally up to you, but I like to see what I have in each envelope in the envelope name. You can also reorder this. Let's say my working with real estate agents to be first. I can click and drag that over so that this form is before that one. Okay, and you can of course add more documents in this envelope from here. And lastly, on the very bottom of the screen, you will be able to edit the email subject, email message. So that'll be the subject. If you want to put something here like, "Hi there, please see the forms to sign as we discussed on the phone. If you have any questions, let me know." Okay, so you can add a message, not required. Okay, so there you can do this section very quick and then go ahead and click next on the top right. And I've noticed that I have to click next twice for some reason. So if you click next twice on the top right, that should make the page load. And that weird little tip's not on the notes if you want to jot that down. It does usually take a little bit to load here. Okay, and that will take you on over so you can view your form and you can see where your clients can sign. So if you scroll to the bottom of a page that has an initial field or a signature field, you'll see where your clients can sign in different colors. Now these colors on the bottom correspond with on the top right here. They correspond to your clients. So you'll see that my first client is blue, meaning that he will be able to sign all blue fields. My second client is purple. She'll be able to sign all purple fields and so forth. Okay. So there's really nothing you need to do here. Okay, you can add further fields on the left-hand side, and I'll be showing you how to use this when we add a PDF in the next example. But when you're doing an interactive form, you already filled in the entire form, right? That's what we did, the first thing we did when we opened that up and typed in it. So now all you have to do is send that off. Now, I personally like to click the recipient preview on the top right here. So if you click on recipient preview on the top right, I just personally like to see what my clients are seeing and to make sure I set it up correctly for them to electronically sign. So on the top left here, I can select which client I'm viewing this form as. I can choose if I want that in a computer or a tablet or a mobile view. And then, again, I'm viewing this as my client. I can click on Start. It will take me to the first field to sign and take me through it. And this is literally what it looks like and how easy it is for your clients to sign. Okay. All right, so I can go through all that. Once you feel good about it, that you did it all correctly, you can X out of that on the top right. Okay, and now literally all I have to do is send. So there's not too much that you have to do once you actually type in the form. So I'll click send on the top right. You can save and close this, I believe, under actions. That might be in the envelope, but if you don't want to send it right now. All right, but once I click send, it will take me to the envelope section. Okay. So this envelope section is, again, it will show you, think of snail mail. For some reason, it makes it make more sense in my head. Think about every time that you send out an envelope with forms in it, they will be displaying here. So if you need to sign something, you can do it right from the envelope. You see, I'm in the envelope section here. If you need to navigate back here, I'll click here to open that envelope to see what I sent and who I sent it to. I can even see the access code I sent. All right, so I can do a couple things here. First of all, I can sign as the agent. So you can sign it from here if your signature is required. Also, if they're saying they didn't receive it, you can resend it from here. Okay, so you can always resend this document if needed. And I'll go ahead and X out of it. Okay. All right, guys, so that is how you go about sending out an interactive form to be signed. And I do have a short tip video on this. So I try to take, I know this is an hour class, so I try to take this class and break it down into short 10-minute tip videos. So when you're actually going through this with a live client, you can watch these little 10-minute tip videos, because I know everything's time sensitive in real estate. So that is basically what we just did from beginning to end on how to send an interactive form. So you can watch that when you're actually doing this for a client. Okay. So I'm going to come back over to the document section now, and we're going to switch gears just slightly. We're going to talk about adding a PDF to your DocuSign room, and then how to add fields to it to edit it. So first of all, let's talk about scenarios on when you would need to use this next tool, knowledge. Okay, so times you need this, let's say you're working with an agent on the other side of a transaction, and they don't use DocuSign, so they just sent you an email with, let's say, the offer to purchase attached to the email. So you have a PDF of the offer that you saved to your computer, but of course your clients went to Disney World in the middle of their transaction, so now I need to add fields for them to be able to sign the form and send that off to them. Okay, that's one use of this. Or if you need to make corrections to a form, if you need to edit a PDF for any reason, like let's say their name was incorrect and you just need to edit a fully signed document and get that signed for the change, okay? You can do this PDF editing as well. And I'll be showing you all that firsthand here. So first things first, let's go ahead and click on Add on the top right. So we're clicking Add on the top right, and this time we're selecting Computer. All right, you are able to pull in forms from ZipForm and these cloud storage systems as well, just a heads up. But we're going to search our computer, that top option. So again, in theory, what would have happened so far is you have saved the signed offer to your computer. So it's just signed by the buyer, and now I saved it to my computer, and I need to pull that in to get my clients to sign it. So if you have a PDF on your computer, feel free to bring that in. Okay, I have an offer on my desktop here. And so now, when I click on the form, well, first of all, I can tell it's a PDF because it has a different icon here, right? The icons for interactive forms, I know I keep saying that. What I mean by an interactive form is there were just fields that I could just start typing in on these DocuSign forms. Whereas on a PDF here, so if I click on this, you'll notice the nature of a PDF is I cannot click to edit it. Okay, that's the main difference there. However, cool thing about DocuSign is it does give you the tools to edit PDFs. You just have to add fields in to do that. So from here, what we'll need to do is click on this Document Actions option on the very top. And you have some options here, and I'll come back to these, but you can rename it, split the document. So if you need to split off the last page, right, or if you have your whole sales file in here, you can split that up, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Okay, but we're going to select DocuSign from that drop-down. So that pin icon, right, is DocuSign. So click on DocuSign, and it will then take this form and it will stuff it in the envelope. So going back to snail mail here. So we got stuff that PDF in the envelope here. All right, so again, you don't really have to do anything except add the recipients. Right, so we have to always write the names on the front of the envelope in theory of where this needs to go. So we'll click on Room Participants from there. Right, DocuSign already knows, so you'll see that I have my clients here, and they already have the roles of Seller 1 and Seller 2. And then we'll add, well, I don't need to sign this, so we'll just add our clients here. And click Add Selected. There they are. And then we'll click Next. So very speedy, right? All we're doing here is adding in the recipients. We did that by clicking Add Recipients and Room Participants. And then we'll click Next on the top right. Apparently we'll click it twice to make it go forward faster. Okay, and this is where the fun really begins. So first of all, let's talk about the scenario where use your imagination that this form was already signed by the buyers, right? But your clients, again, have gone off to Disney World, and now we need to add initial boxes for them to be able to electronically sign this while they're gone in Florida. Okay, so what we'll need to do on the top right here, so let's pay back attention to our client's name on the top left. You'll see you have both clients with their corresponding color. Now notice when I select, so first of all I have my first client and you'll see all these fields are yellow, but when I select my second client, all the fields turn blue. So what you would need to do is select the initial box. It'll start following your mouse. I can line this up where I'd like it and click to drop it. Now, if I need to add the spouse, I'll come up to the top left here, click on the client's name, change that over to the spouse's name, and now I see the field color has changed because it corresponds to this other client. I can repeat that process, click initial, line up the initial box, click to drop it. Now, in theory, when you're actually going through this, right, especially if this is a long form you're adding these to, I would probably recommend doing one client at a time, go through the entire form, add all the initial boxes all the way down, then go to the top and add it for the second client, so you don't have to keep switching back and forth. That would probably be the fastest. So that is how you add initial boxes anywhere on the form that they need to sign, all right? Make sure that you have the correct client selected, select initial box, and lay that down. All right, same exact concept with the signature fields as well. I'm just going to show you that so you can see it. So signature field, so I'm on a different page here, and I navigated really quickly through all the way down to page 12, right? Because I came to the side here, and you can scroll on down and select which page you'd like to go to quickly. Now I'll select the signature field, click to drop that, change that over on the top right to the other client, and click to drop that as well. That's as easy as it is. I mean, yeah, it's some manual labor for sure, because you have to go through and do that for each page, you know, depending on how long your form is, but it's not too hard by any means. But let's take a look at the other example we talked about, and that is editing a fully signed document. So let's say, for example, you know, the seller's name is listed as Tony Stark, and we need to say Anthony, right? We already have a fully signed document, so how can we just make small changes like that and get those changes signed? So on the left-hand side here, again, these are all of our fields. And all of your fields are really right here that you need to worry about. The only one that's hidden for some reason is in the line, so like to cross out the incorrect information. You'll want to click on the markup tools option on the far left. So it's on the gray toolbar, looks like a pencil, which makes sense. But we'll click on the line option here, click to drop that, and then you can drag your mouse and click again to drop the other side of the line. Right, so now I crossed out the incorrect information, or whatever info is changing. Okay, so now on the left-hand side, left-hand side, I can add in a text box. Right, so I'll go ahead and come to the text option here, line that up, click to drop it. Okay, so something that you need to know about these fields you drop. First of all, especially for text boxes, once you drop it, it's pretty small. So if you hover your mouse over any of the corners, you can click to drag that. If you want it to move totally, so you laid it here, but you want it on this line instead, if you hover your mouse on the edge of it, right, it'll turn into like a little hand icon, so I can click and move that down. If I accidentally added it, I can always click delete on the bottom. Okay. So on the right-hand side here, we do see some settings for the field we have selected. Okay, so just to clarify, if I click off this field, it goes back to just the pages, but if I actually click on the field, right, it outlines it, letting me know it's selected, and I have these settings on the right-hand side. So these are important things to know as well. These things I'm saying are not on the notes right here, guys, just heads up. So on the right-hand side, where we have the recipients, right? Right now, it is showing as a required field. So if you want your client to fill out this text box, you're good. You can stop there. However, if you just want to fill out the field, you need to uncheck this box. So see how when I uncheck that it's required, it turns the box clear, versus if it's checked, right? That correlates, that yellow color correlates to this client, meaning that field is required for that client to fill out, or that signature box is required. So it makes sense. So instead I want to uncheck that because I want to fill this out. I can either add text on the right-hand side or right from the box here. I instead want the correct name. So I type that in. If you want to make sure your client does not change the content you put in, you'll just want to mark that as read only on the right-hand side. Okay. So again, those are two things that are not in the notes that I think are important. If you add any sort of field here that you need to change, you don't want your clients to, make sure to give it read only and make sure it is not a solid box here. You don't want it to be yellow, or they will have the option, or they'll be mandated to fill that in. Okay. So as long as it's clear, you're good. So now we need to add initial boxes to sign for any changes made. So I'll go ahead and add those on the right or left-hand side here. Jeez. Struggling with the left and right-hand side today. All right. So we add in our initial boxes here. So again, we have those colors of our clients so they can both sign. So I feel good about that. And once I'm done with that, guys, you can just go ahead and click send. We always have the recipient preview option on the top right in order to preview to see what they have the option to fill out. You can save and close this as well if you're not ready to send it. Just a heads up on that. All right, but that is how you go about filling out, or I'm sorry, adding fields to a PDF. And then I'll click send on the top right. All right, and like I said before, right, I like to create little tip videos focusing on things like this. So here is that tip video specifically on what we just did, editing a PDF. All right, guys, the last thing I'm going to show you in today's class, and it's an important one, is how to add forms to your command opportunity in the document section for compliance review. Now, this is a very important takeaway from this class and a good thing to write down, okay? So, DocuSign, so the difference between your DocuSign room and your opportunity in command is this. So DocuSign is being used to interact with your client specifically, right? It is where you can add forms and get those electronically signed by your client. So again, DocuSign is being used as your interaction, or your electronic signature software between you and your client. Okay, the opportunities section in command is used to submit your documents to your office for compliance review. So let's go to that to take a look at it firsthand so that all makes sense in your head. So this opens in two different tabs at the top here. So you should have your DocuSign room open, and you'll see this little, the icon for DocuSign is a little house. So instead, let's go over to the command documents. It should be a separate tab here. It should have the KW logo. And if you lost this tab, no worries, just navigate on over to the opportunity, and we're selecting the document section. Now in this document section, your account will look different than mine, right? Because mine is, this is all separated by your office staff. Your office staff sets these checklists on the left-hand side. So if you don't see anything here, go ahead and click Pick Checklist Type. You might have to do this. And select, let's say that it's a listing or sale. Okay, and these checklists will be named something different because it's added by your office staff. And it will show you a list, kind of like a checklist of all the forms that you need to be in compliance for this transaction. Okay, so this is working with your market center directly to stay in compliance. This is not working with your clients at all. Okay, so I am in this listing here and I can see the different forms I need. These are just the form names. This is not the actual form. It's kind of like they're placeholders. Okay. Once I have this form signed, I would click on Add a File on the far right of that document name. So I clicked on Add a File. I have a couple different options here. Manual, so if you have that saved on your computer, if you have the fully executed listing agreement on your computer, simply click here and you can browse your computer to pull that in right away. Or if you have a DocuSign room like we did with today's class, I can select the DocuSign option and it will pull up all the forms that are in that DocuSign room specifically. So this is not pulling up all forms in general in DocuSign. This would in theory be pulling up all signed forms in your DocuSign room that you can pull from. So I would go ahead and select the listing agreement here, click Assign, and that would be listed right here. Okay, so I can see that that's been added. So you would in theory need to go through and add in all the files here for each form to be in compliance. Once you have all of these forms that you need, you can then click Submit to MC. Okay, this button will be grayed out until you have added in some forms. So don't do this right now, but when you're ready for your Market Center to overview your file, you'll want to click Submit to MC, and that will send all of these forms to your Market Center for review so you can get paid. Woohoo! I think that's why we do this whole real estate thing. Okay. And one more big tip for you guys before I let you go enjoy your Friday Eve here is, so, right, how we got into the DocuSign account at the beginning of class, right? We added a contact. So I'm going back and testing out your memory here. So how we created this DocuSign room to begin with is we created a contact. We then went into the opportunities section of command, right? Added a new opportunity, and then went into DocuSign from this document section by clicking on Go to Transactions, on the top right. Now that's a few steps, right? It takes a little longer, but you 100% have to do those steps in those order if you are creating this for the first time. Okay, so if it's the first time you are creating a DocuSign room, you have to go through those steps so that it will link up your opportunity to the DocuSign room. Okay, after that, after the first time you go through those steps and you do that, a quicker way to get back into DocuSign into those rooms is just by going to realestate.docusign.com. Okay, realestate.docusign.com is the quickest way to get into your DocuSign account. But again, make sure not to do that unless you've already created the opportunity and linked it to the DocuSign room. Okay. Just a quick tip on that. It is on the DocuSign notes in bold in the first section of those DocuSign notes I sent out. So if you have questions, read over that again. But yeah, as you're going through all this, guys, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you with all of this. Feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com. You can put attention my name, which is Leah, Leah, in the subject line. Let me know any issues you have, and I'd be happy to troubleshoot that for you or send you in directions. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have questions, and happy DocuSigning. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day.